All right, in the last video, we set this property header image. We brought in all the hard-coded HTML. So what I want to do now is get this part dynamic because we have the property data. I also want to bring in the icons that we need. And then this stuff on the side we'll take care of later. We'll turn those into components later on. I think this area we should put in a separate component called property details. So let's do that. So in components, we'll create a new file, property details. Okay, and then what we're going to do is grab the main tag. So let's see, this main tag right here, we're going to take that and then everything in it, which goes down to here. Yep, so we're going to cut that. And then we'll bring that into the property details. Let's paste that in there. Okay, and then we'll go back to the page and bring in the property details component. And then we're going to put it right where we took it from, which is right above the sidebar. Okay, and of course we need to pass the property into it. We'll get rid of this sidebar comment. We don't need that anymore. All right. So now if I come back and reload, it should look the same. It's just now in a component. So I want to get the icons in here. So we're going to have an arrow next to the back button. That's in the page. So that is right here. So this I tag, obviously we want to replace that with the icon. So on this page, let's import from React icon/FA. We're going to bring, I think it's FA arrow left. And we'll replace that I tag right here. Get rid of these classes. We'll keep the MR2 and then replace, actually I'll just replace this whole thing. So FA arrow left, and then we'll add class name MR-2. Save that, and now we have a little arrow. All right, now in the property details we have a bunch of icons to bring in. We'll do that first and then we'll handle the rest of the dynamic data. I do want to just pass in here the property. Make sure you put your curly braces because you're destructuring it from the props. All right, so let's import from React icons /FA, and then the icons that we want to bring in are FA bed, FA bath, FA ruler combined. What else do we need here? FA times, which is the X mark, and then FA check, and then FA map marker. Okay, and then we'll come down here and let's see where we need to do this. So this location one right here, I want to keep these classes MR2, text orange, and text LG. So I guess I'll just copy those and then we'll get rid of that. This is going to be FA marker or map marker, class name, and just paste those in. Okay, let's take a look. So that's that right there. Now for the rates and options, basically the way this works is if they don't have nightly, for instance, then it'll have a red X here. So if we go down to where the nightly is here, basically, yeah, we're going to replace that. I do want the text red class, so I'll just grab that. And then let's say FA times, put a class name. Okay, so if we take a look, now there's an X. And we want to put that, well actually we'll come back to this because we're going to have to wrap these in a conditional to know if there needs to be an X there or not. So let's go to the next icon, which I think is, yeah, the bed, bath, this stuff right here. So we'll replace that with FA bed. And we're going to do inline dash block and MR2. Okay, so that gives us a little bed icon. And I'll just copy that. And then we'll replace this next I tag here. And this one's going to be bath. And then this right here, that's going to be the ruler combined. Okay, so now we have our little icons there. And then the last, I think, is the check marks for the amenities. Now, I'm not going to do that just yet because we're not going to have all these list items because we're going to loop through them with map, and we'll only have one LI to deal with, one icon. So we'll get back to that. Let's now start to add the dynamic data. So we'll start at the top. We have the type right here. We can get rid of that hard-coded apartment and say property.type. So we see apartment, but if we go back to, let's go to, whoop, looks like the back button is still going to the HTML. So make sure here in the page you get rid of that .html. Okay, and then like this one right here is a house details. So now, oh, it still says apartment. Did I save this? Oh, now it says house. All right. And then let's do the name. So this right here, get rid of that, and property.name. Okay, Seaside Retreat. Then we have the address, this right here. So that's gonna be made up of three different things. We have the property, property.location.street. And then we'll put a comma here and then a space, and then we'll do property.location.city, and then another space and a property.location.state. Okay, so we got Oceanfront Drive, Miami. Now for the rates, we're going to have to wrap these in a conditional. So let's see, how are we going to do this? So let's go right above the icon here. And we're going to say if property, we're going to use a ternary. So if property.rates.nightly, so if that exists, then we're going to show that. So we'll just put some backticks here. I'm going to put a money sign and then a money sign so I can use a variable in here and say property.rates.nightly. And then actually I want the comma, the thousands comma, so we're going to add to locale string. And then outside of the backticks, actually outside of that parentheses, we want to do our else, so our colon, and then that's where we're going to have this X icon, because that means that there is no nightly. So if there's a nightly, we're going to show it. If not, we're going to show a red X. So this one does have a nightly. Why is it black? Did I... it should be blue, I believe. What? So div class name. Oh, you know what? We got to put the div around it. This div right here. Yeah, so we want to put this around that. But that's not right. Wait a minute. Now we don't need... yeah, we don't need that. We just need the curly braces. So nightly 500. So let's go to one that doesn't have, this one doesn't have nightly. So here we have a red X. All right, cool. So let's copy this. And then let's go down. So this is in the div with the text 2XL, font bold. Oh, that's where the blue was. Never mind. You know what? Let's put this back to how we had it. Sorry, guys. So I just needed the text blue 500 on this. Right? So if I go back, oh, that one doesn't have nightly either. This one does. Okay, so that looks good. So now we'll copy this, and then inside, basically just going to replace the number here, except we're going to change this and this to weekly. And then down here, we'll replace the number. And we're going to replace that and that with monthly. Okay, so let's check this out. There we go. So we get the values coming from the database. And then for the description, I'm actually going to, let's see. So there's 2 paragraphs here. We only need 1. Initially, I was going to do a description and details, but that's kind of redundant. I think we can just have the description. So let's replace that text with property dot description. Okay, so now that's coming from the database. Should probably put that in the middle. Yeah, let's do that. Let's text center it. All right, and then let's see what else we got here. The beds, bath, and square feet. So we want to change that to that 3 to property dot beds. And then I'm going to put a space, make sure there's a space after it. So we'll just do that. And then I'll copy that. We're going to replace this 2 right here with property dot baths. And we're going to replace, where is it? What do we get for the square feet? Nothing. So right before, looks like we just have a space there. All right, so I'm just going to, right here, property dot square underscore feet, save, and there we go. So the last thing here is the amenities, which right now is just a bunch of LIs. So we want to keep one LI because we're going to basically put a map around it, make it into a list. So let's get rid of all the rest of these LIs. And then here, we're going to say property dot amenities dot map, and we'll pass in here a function with amenity and index, because we do need a key, so we'll use the index for the key, and then open a set of parentheses here, and we'll move this li into there, right, and then replace Wi-Fi with amenity, and we just need to add a key to the list item because it's a list. So key is going to be the index. All right, so we'll save that, and there we go. Now I do want to have a little check icon next to them. So this I tag right here, we're going to, let's see, I'll just copy. I don't think we need the MT class. Let's grab text green and MR2. Keep the space there, and then we'll put in FA, what is it, FA check, class name. Okay, we'll do that. And okay, so those need to be inline. So let's say inline, not incline. So inline block. Yeah, that looks good. We could add a little bit more space in between them by going on the UL and doing a space Y-2. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And I think that's it, right? That we have the div with the ID of map. Just leave that for now. Later on, we're gonna create a map component. But I think that that's good for now. So we can see the actual, we see the image, we see the details. Good. So I do want to have a spinner. You'll notice when we click on a property that we created the loading.jsx, which will show from page to page, but we are fetching from the client here. So, I mean, it's pretty fast, but I do want to be able to show a spinner. So I do want a client-side spinner component that we can use in addition to the entire page. So let's do that in the next video, and then we'll start to move on to authentication.